So let's just settle into a comfortable seated position. So whether you are in fact sitting on a chair at your desk or sitting cross-legged in your meditation place, just get yourself comfortable. All right. And, you know, I mean, we do have all these people that we're motivating for. I mean, we could spend half an hour motivating, and very often Rinpoche would spend quite a lot of time motivating. Many a meal went stone cold while Rinpoche motivated for many, many people. But also remember this meditation is for you. This is your evening practice, a time for you to sort of go inside, to nurture yourself, to work on some things, to sort of, you know, realign yourself spiritually, mentally. It's a time to take care of that inner little person with compassion. And this will be, for most of us here, apart from one person who's in Australia, this is the last thing we'll be doing this evening before we head to bed. So now get yourself aligned, shoulders are aligned with the hips and your ears aligned with the shoulders, and just lengthen the spine. Imagine your spine is a string of pearls of light, and it stretches from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. And take a nice deep breath, just relax, and just imagine you're releasing everything from the crown all the way down to your toes. Notice the breath, and if there are any sounds in your environment, just allow those sounds to be there. Try not to follow with the mind. And then notice the thoughts that are arising. And just allow the thoughts. Notice them, try not to follow them, try not to direct them, try not to judge them. It's really okay. This is what's going on for you this evening. There is no problem. So just accept yourself exactly as you're turning up tonight. And then bring to mind all the people of your life, your loved ones, the ones you don't like so much particularly, then the strangers. And remember, they can all change place at any time, these relationships. Think that we'll remember all these people are equal, and they wish to be happy, they wish to be free from suffering, and in having this extraordinary capacity for Buddhahood. So we think we'll do this meditation this evening for all those people of our life, for all sentient beings, and particularly for yourself, because you know you can't help anybody if you yourself are not present or taken care of. And really the only person that's going to be able to do that is you. So think there is no negativity that cannot be purified, and this purification process is basically a psychological one. We create negativity with our mind, so we can change that by creating positivity instead. So we start with the power of regret. So we sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. We experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions, and so having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. We cannot bear the thought of the future suffering that we ourselves will experience. We know from our present suffering that we do not want it. Logically, Therefore, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this. I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows because I do not want their future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So we have the power of reliance. This is the second power. So we have two little subsections here, refuge and developing compassion. So with refuge, we're relying upon the Buddha, who we actually see as a doctor rather than a sort of like a savior. Do you know what I mean? And this doctor has the methods that we can use to purify. So we're not needing this higher power to forgive us. We are purifying ourselves by relying upon his medicine. So you can imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. So here we have our Vajrasattva, but you imagine a light body rather than this kind of an image on the canvas. You're sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. You can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. You can make him as large or as small as you like. Has this beautiful radiant face. His eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two. And this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So this little section on compassion, which means to develop a wish for people to be free from suffering. So we need to rely upon other beings to be able to develop this. The very beings we have harmed and those who have harmed us. So think particularly of someone you've harmed recently. And you can think of someone who's harmed you. And especially for these people, because the harm they've caused you is going to manifest as harm for them in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all these beings, and think, I must purify for their sake. So now we come to the power of the remedy, and this is the medicine, doing the practice of purification. And we start with the body, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart, and it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely, and it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid, and this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mebowa Sutokaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anarakta Mebowa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tatagata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mebowa Sutokaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anarakta Mebowa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tatagata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mebowa Sutokaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anarakta Mebowa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tatagata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mebowa Sutokaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anurakta me boa sawa siddhi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapta Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapta Dina Patita Dira Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapta Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapta Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapta Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapta Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is completely purified. And think there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And the next is the purification of our speech. And Vajrasattva again very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, which overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So just imagine that all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying, talking badly about others behind their backs, getting other people to agree with you, all of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as you recite the mantra. Vajrasapta Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapta Dina Patita Dira Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapta Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapta Dina Patita Dira Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapta Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapta Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapta Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapta Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapta Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapta Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapta Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapta Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapta Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapta Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified. And imagine it's not possible to do anything but benefit others now with your speech. And that includes anything you write. So next is the purification of the mind. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra. This arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So just the same as when you walk into a pitch black room and you flick on that switch, the light instantly dispels the darkness. So imagine the moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, so all your attachment and neediness and anger and depression, bitterness, grudges, resentment, all of this instantly dispelled, not one atom left. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Dida mebowa, sitokaya mebowa, sipokaya mebowa, anarakta mebowa, sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me, sitam shriam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagawan, sawa tata gata vajramame mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Dida mebowa, sitokaya mebowa, sipokaya mebowa, anarakta mebowa, sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Mebowa Sitokaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anarakta Mebowa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Dida mebowa sitokaya mebowa sipokaya mebowa anarakta mebowa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagawan sawa tata gata vajramame mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Dida mebowa sitokaya mebowa sipokaya mebowa Anarakta mebowa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagawan sawa tata gata vajramame mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Dida mebowa sitokaya mebowa sipokaya mebowa Anarakta mebowa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida mebowa sitokaya mebowa sipokaya mebowa Anarakta mebowa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe. So again, be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified, and think there's no space in your heart now for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. So next is the imprints, purifying the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. And this time you can imagine that Vajrasattva sends light and nectar, and it fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from the mind. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Dida mebowa sitokaya mebowa sipokaya mebowa Anarakta mebowa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Dida mebowa sitokaya mebowa sipokaya mebowa Anarakta mebowa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Dida mebowa sitokaya mebowa sipokaya mebowa Anarakta mebowa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shiyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahompe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shiyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahompe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shiyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahompe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shiyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahompe. So now feel you are completely purified. There's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. So now the power of resolve, the fourth step in the purification process, and a really crucial one, this determination to not harm with our body and our speech and our mind. And without this, we are going to keep doing the same old things over and over again. So this determination, this decision we make becomes, it's like a beacon that guides our body and our speech and our mind in new directions. So as Rinpoche used to say, everything exists on the tip of the wish. So think of something that you've maybe been working on or you would like to work on, maybe something to do with your speech, maybe to do with your own internal dialogue. Some habit that you might have. And when we're talking about harm, we don't necessarily mean big harm. It can be just drip, 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 wearing away at ourselves, wearing away at our self-esteem. In the long run, it becomes harmful because it prevents us from growing, from expanding, from thriving. And then we're not really in a position to help anybody else. So think of something between now and tomorrow. And remember this determination to not engage in harm is what gives us strength to change. That decision we make becomes like a, sort of guardrail. So imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with us, wants to merge with your mind and melts into light and absorbs into you through your crown. And think, my teacher's body, speech and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech and mind, and my own body, speech and mind are the same. So next, Rinpoche would suggest we meditate a little bit on emptiness. In emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, place your mind there for a little while. And this way we can look at all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. We can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice to all living beings. And think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. And I also saw a message from Mary saying that there's currently an active shooter in Maine and that there's a lot of people injured. So just think of those people tonight, and also for the active shooter themselves, wherever they may be. And for that pilot, I don't know if you guys saw there was a pilot going down to San Francisco yesterday, and he had a nervous breakdown. He knew he wasn't quite right, and he tried to crash the plane. So they put him in the back of the plane. But he was telling people that he wasn't safe. So he was obviously aware of the state of mind that he was in. But that's the end of his career. He's not going to be allowed to fly again. So anyway, just many prayers for him, and just thank goodness that the pilots in the cabin at the time had the peace of mind to subdue him. Anyway, that's it. Such great news we have here in this Bodhisattva practice. That's as well. We have a lot of material to work with. Okay. Good night, everybody. Lots of love. Remember to dedicate for the long life of His Holiness, for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and for any of your own teachers, and of course for yourselves. Okay. Lots of love. Thank you so much for hosting, you guys. Bye-bye.